Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I want to talk to you all a bit about the current state of Destruction Warlock in Warcraft Beta. We're going to be reviewing talent builds, pathing, and looking at it a little bit in combat and single target AOE, and well, basically all the spots. Talking Hellcaller and Diabolist or Diabolist, whatever you want to call it, and going from there. Heads up, the Warcraft beta spreadsheet for Warlocks will indeed be going live on Patreon if you guys would like early access to that. The tier 3 Fellow rank or higher does indeed get that. It should be going live within a day or so. It's supposed to go live yesterday, but my car died. It's a long story, so I've been trying to handle that, so my apologies, but it should be live by Wednesday night at the latest. But yeah, in general, the Week Wars add-ons, including beta add-ons, or I guess beta profiles of Week Wars you see in this video, link down below to Twitch and Discord, and yeah, let's just jump right on in the talent builds. So starting off here, we have Hellcaller Destruction in single target. Now I'm playing the same builds basically for Hellcaller and Diabolist in single target with both hero talents. Now when it comes to playing a cleave build, like a Havoc based setting, you probably just pull points out of like CDF and put them in like Havoc, maybe rolling Havoc and go from there. Not a whole lot really changed. I'm going to forego that build for now, show single target, and show AOE. The big thing here when it comes to single target is the Infernal is back in the middle of the tree again, which is great to see. I didn't mind trying Rift here for a bit. We knew pretty fast it wasn't going to be worth it. Having Infernal here is good. It makes it so you don't have to like path in the Infernal in the bottom of your tree here, basically taking up 2 or 3 talent nodes and having 7 left for the rest of the tree, which is, I wouldn't say bloated, but packed in the bottom here. Now, besides that, the top of the tree is pretty similar to where it is on retail. You're pathing through Roaring Blaze, Backdraft, things like that. You have Inferno here, or Rain of Fire, I guess. You have Inferno here with Cataclysm. I wish Inferno was here. So that is still a choice hybrid node. We've hit on it a million times about changing it. In the end, it's still there. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not sure where it's still an ability, but hey, that's what it is. Scalding Flames is here. So this increases the damage of Immolate, or if you're playing Hellcaller, it increases the damage of Wither and the duration by 3 seconds. Now, CDF was buffed this last build. When you're playing RDF, to give a 0.5 duration extension to Immolate or Wither for each bolt that fires from CDF, like being Raging Demon Fire bolts, right? So essentially, this extends Wither a good bit in single target and AoE, and in general, CDF, when it comes to this part of the tree, your options here in single target and Gate 2 are basically, in the last few points, playing CDF and RDF or playing like Shadowburn, these talents here, which aren't as good as playing CDF in this. Now, the unfortunate part about this part of the tree is that Infernal does not connect to this talent here, being Entropy or Combustion and Eradication. Now, Combustion has been better in my testing, but it's very annoying to play with. We're going to see where tuning goes. If Wither gets nerfed more, Internal Combustion probably gets nerfed more too, but we'll see where it lands. I'm going to show Entropy in this video, but IC is also very good. Keep that in mind. It just changes the rotation a crazy amount. A decent bit. The other thing here is that I don't have enough talent points to get over to Demon Fire Mastery here, and I'm having to path through Flashpoint to get to Entropy or Combustion. Now, if Infernal connected to these 2 nodes, sort of how this does here, Ruin, I could go Infernal into Entropy, Infernal into Eradication. I had this regardless, but it would free up this point here, which I don't want in single target, to get Demon Fire Mastery. Without that being the case, though, you're probably playing Flashpoint in single target, which feels pretty bad. On top of that, this has been changed to no longer spawn Overfiends. It now just gives you 2 stacks of Flashpoint whenever you get Black and Soul procs and all that, right? A chance to do that. A pretty high uptime. I wouldn't play this in single target in the first place, but definitely not if I have this. But unfortunately, with pathing being the way that it is what it is. Hopefully it changes in the near future. When it comes to single target capstones here, Ritual, Master Rituals, Overfiend is still strong. Burned Ashes, we are casting more Incinerates now in single target after this has become Flashpoint and no longer Overfiend. We are playing Devastation, crit damage, chance, all that kind of stuff. Improved Chaos Bolt required. Incarnate has been changed. Yeah, so it has been changed, sorry. They added a text here to say at least 70%. So it went from being essentially a nerf to an actual like buff. It might not be massive, but they've changed it to where it's actually now worthwhile to play in single target and settings. How good is it? Not sure exactly, but it's better than what it was, being a nerf to your damage. We are playing Soulfire and we are playing Decimation here. This makes your Soulfire instant cast, and it procs a lot whenever you cast CDF because it channels 1,000,000 bolts out, which can crit and reset Soulfire. And then besides that, rounding it out with playing Ruin gives you a crit strike damage increase 5%, playing Destro spells. There is Embers here, which is like not bad at all. We played it for all of Dragonflight and single target. We have a lot of shard gen with Orphean spawning, with other things happening here and there, with Soulfire giving you a shard whenever you cast it, and it procs quite often. So I haven't really felt the need for Embers, but we'll see where it goes long term. As far as Rift, and these are all concerned, these are just not very good right now. They need to be buffed a lot. This does not proc in single target if you don't take Rift as well, which is bugged. It says it should, but it does not currently. Like if you path through here and just take this, it will not give you a chance to proc a Rift randomly. This is also just sort of but yeah, so that is that. Hellcaller, basically, Wither replaces Immolate, all that kind of stuff here. Like, once again, this has been changed to Flashpoint stacks and not Overfiend. Big thing with Hellcaller, Malevolence. This is like a little Dark Soul. Haste buff, more stacks to Wither. They do damage when you pop it. They start flaring up at 8 stacks. In general, it's just a strong ability. And casting a Chaos Bolt gives you 1 extra stack of Wither, right? Strong ability, feels good to hit, lines up with every CD window being a minute versus Infernal being 2. Feels good to play. When it comes to Diabolist, or Diabolist, however you want to word it here, it's the same thing as Destro, or sorry, Demo, honestly. You're summoning demons, I mean, like your Overfiend, your Pit Lord, your Mother of Chaos. The Meteor does indeed spawn imps for Demonology as well. They don't do much damage at all, but the Meteor itself does damage. The one big difference here, I'd say, is Abyssal Dominion. So whenever you summon your Infernal, does more damage, but it also splits into smaller Infernals at 50% effectiveness whenever it expires for 10 seconds. These used to work with Reign of Chaos base Infernals. They don't anymore. They do not bring Crashing Chaos. They don't bring Reign of Chaos stacks, something like that. And the Infernal Immolation Aura ability, I forgot what it's called, the melee damage one is gone. So while this is cool, with no interactions between Crashing Chaos or Reign of Chaos and no Infernal brand being around anymore, it's cool, but like realistically, you know, wish it was a little cooler with interactions. But still, nonetheless, summoning Pit Lords, Mothers of Chaos, or being Overlords, or these things are called. Pretty cool. Shifting gears here and getting into AOE. Honestly, you can see not a whole lot changes here. So we are playing Havoc here. You could play Rolling Havoc if you want. It's rank 1, not rank 2, basically how it is on retail. So sort of we are playing full CDF, RDF, Demon Fire Mastery here. I am not playing Flashpoint here because you can proc it here enough. This might change, but I don't think it's honestly relevant. It's 4% haste at 2 stacks. 6% at 3 stacks is not bad. Maybe it's worth it, but your RDFs are already hasted. You're casting Conflagrate heading into a pack. You're spamming Rain of Fire, casting a Cataclysm, right? It might be worth taking, but I found Fire and Brimstone to be pretty good. You're playing, or you actually can play Burn to Ashes, and in general, you're casting more Incinerates. I've been impressed with the damage of Fire and Brimstone when it comes to Incinerate overall in AoE. We have Crashing Chaos here, Reign of Chaos. I think Crashing just better still. 2-minute Infernal, all that. I have been playing Soulfire and Decimation in AoE here. I'm not going to, or in general, I'm not going to play it in this build. I'm going to play essentially like this, probably put a point right here, from over here, just to show how it looks in AoE. But I will say, when you have a Cataclysm down, Rain of Fire is rolling, a lot of them, I might just put this point here, more single target too, or whatever. When you have all that rolling, you get a lot of Soulfire refunds, which can bring a decent bit of funnel damage, because Soulfire hits really hard, about 40% harder than a Chaos Bolt does, and it gives you a shard. It's felt pretty good, but I want to test with it more and see where it goes long term. But same thing here, Devastation, Chaos Bolt, Incarnate, full Overfiend, Ritual stuff. Burn to Ashes also affects Fire and Brimstone. This can go probably here or here, wherever you want. I'm putting here for now. And playing Ruin. Unfortunately, Rifts are very, very, very bad in AoE right now, even with this being added here. So hopefully they buff the damage considerably, and this proc chance is very low too. It likely should become Incinerate, but, or sorry, Immolate, but we'll see where it goes. And when it comes to like Hellcaller versus Diabolist, honestly, they both feel pretty good. I feel like Hellcaller, I mean, it's more consistent when you have your Malevolence every minute. Wither just cranks. So you can go into a pack and pop your Cataclysm and just slam 8 Withers out, pop Malevolence, flare them all up, get more haste, they do damage, you pop Malevolence. It feels really good. At the same time, Inferno makes your Rain of Fires cost 2 shards. So I'm leaning towards Kata with Hellcaller. I could very easily see a world where you just play Inferno with Diabolist and Kata with Hellcaller, but honestly, probably could play either or, and both would be good. Also, the talents here, basically one and the same. Ruination for Diabolist and AoE, the big meteor the Pit Lord spawns, is exceptionally strong. It slams down, does a lot of damage. Just It's capped to 8 targets now, or like soft cap, but it still crushes. But regardless, though, both feel good. And you have the essence of what Destro is. Kata, if you're playing it, or like Rain of Fire, Chaos Bolt, Havoc, Cleave. But the added essence of having CDF extensions with Wither or Immolate if you're playing it. Infernal immediately tree feels good. And in general, it flows really well. Let's look at it in single target and AoE. Now, when it comes to single target, I'm going to start off here as actually Hellcaller with Malevolence and all that. I've been playing the 1-minute badge trinket. There's a handful of trinkets you can play. In the end, it might not be worthwhile, but I've been pairing this with Malevolence, and it feels really good to play and pretty consistent. One thing to note here, there is a lot of RNG with Soulfire resets. Sometimes you get 4 or 5 back-to-back. Sometimes you don't get any at all for a little while. So, hopefully we'll get some here. Now, I will also say that in past times, it was worth casting Cataclysm in single target. It likely probably still is, comparatively to like casting an Incinerate. You don't necessarily need shards a whole lot, but there's a lot of things you're casting here. You're casting CDFs. I mean, you've got Conflict Rate, obviously, Soulfire is proccing randomly, watching your Wither stacks. I find that even if Kata's off CD, I often don't cast it, just because I would rather cast Incinerates, which hit harder, or so on and so forth, right? Now, I want to test with Kata more, see if it's worthwhile. But regardless, you know, we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to head in here. I'm going to pre-start with the Soulfire to kickstart my damage. That means we'll never die. We're going to Soulfire. I'm going to cast a Conflict Rate. I'm going to Infernal. I'm going to cast Trinket, Malevolence, whatever. Cast 1 Chaos Bolt, and then I'm going to CDF. Look for Soulfire reset. Did we get it? We did. Going to cast a Bolt here, trying to overcat. Cast Soulfire. Cast a Bolt. I'm going to Conflict Rate here. Cast a Bolt again. Conflict Rate again. Cast an Incinerate. There's an Infernal. Apparently I'm playing Reign of Chaos and not the other one, Crashing Chaos, no big deal. Either way, there's Soulfire reset, cast that. I'm going to cast a CDF here. No Soulfire reset, we got an Overfiend out. And you can see the shard gen here is pretty wild. And while I do think that Crashing Chaos is likely better than playing Reign of Chaos, like the shard gen here is pretty wild. But you'll notice outside of Reign of Chaos, the shard gen is still pretty wild. And with Reign of Chaos, your burst is likely a little higher. Soulfire reset again there, depending on what you get, how often you get shards back, Soul Conduit refunds, because more shards, more bolts, more Overfiend cast, so on and so forth, right? So now we're outside of that window, essentially. I want to point out, like, I have Trinket here and Malevolence here again, right? So I'm going to Trinket, my Malevolence, hit my Soulfire right now, or hit my CDF right now, get a Soulfire reset, launch that. Look at the shard gen here. We're literally capped on shards. I'm going to Bolt, I'm going to Bolt, I'm going to Conflict Rate, cast an Incinerate, Conflict Rate again. I'm going to Bolt again here. The shard gen still feels really good. I haven't felt the need to even cast Cataclysm outside of it, right? I'm going to cast the CDF here, hope for a Soulfire reset. We got one, launch the big ball again. And this is how it flows. It flows really well, really smoothly. I never cast Wither. It's always reapplied via Soulfire, or if I have to or whatever at some point, I have like no shards like that. You can throw a Kata, which does damage too. You can see it did like 400k there or whatever, right? But CDF quite often gives Soulfire resets. And, you know, with CDF also extending your Wither, you know, via RDF, it rarely ever needs to be manually refreshed. Now, when it comes to the breakdown here, if I can find it, because details are scuffing on me, it's okay. There we go. I mean, Chaos Bolt, Incinerate, Wither, Soulfire. I've seen Soulfire at 10.2% before. Biggest Soulfire, 1.2 million. Biggest Bolt, 800k. Soulfire hits really hard. So you can see, if you high roll Soulfires with high RNG, it's going to do a lot of damage, right? Overfiend as well, doing 7.4. I've seen like 6.5, 6-ish when you're playing Crashing Chaos and not Reign of Chaos. I mean, Reign of Chaos, more shards, isn't that? More Infernal, surprise spawns, more Overfiends. But either way, both are fun to play with. I'd be leaning towards Reign of Chaos, but we'll play Crashing Chaos for Diabolist here. And take a look at that as well. To show the difference here, if there even is one, with Overfiend spawns and, you know, all that. So we'll change it up here. Big thing here, we have no 1-minute Malevolence, so no haste, ampment like that. We're not playing Wither anymore. It's going to be Immolate again, which has a cast time, but to a similar extent, you really never cast Immolate. It's Soulfire, and just like whenever they proc again, cast Soulfire again, right? Besides that, big difference here, obviously Pit Lords, Overfiends, whatever they're called, Mothers of Chaos coming down, Ruination Meteors do spawn Imps for destruction as well. And you're going to have your Infernals doing more damage here through Abyssal Dominion, right? So we will see how this goes. I'll try and point out a little baby Infernals wherever they spawn here. And the cool thing about those Infernals, they do actually change color. with whatever you have. You got a blue one, you're going to spawn 2 little Supremacist Infernals, 2 little blue ones. Pretty cool. But big thing here is that a lot of abilities reduce the shard cost. I mean, Ruination, basically a free cast or whatever. Infernal Bolt gives you 3 shards essentially out of nowhere. So you have to watch what pets are spawning via your ritual, Diabolic rituals or whatever, and try and get a feel for that plan ahead. Because I've had times where Infernal Bolt procs at 4 shards, and cool, I got 1 shard out of 3 because I wasn't paying attention. So, by the way, it's fun to play, and yeah, let's open up here. So we're gonna reset this. I am playing 1 minute trinket still. That's okay. No big deal. Let's go current segment here. All right, there we go. Precast Soulfire. I'm gonna go into a conflict rate, put down the rock. Here he comes. Pop my trinket. 1 Chaos Bolt. Gonna CDF for a Soulfire reset. Did we get one? We did not. That's okay. No big deal. Gonna launch some bolts here. There's Soulfire right there. We'll launch that. I can definitely feel a difference here. Obviously, I mean, it makes sense, but, you know, I don't have Malevolence rolling here. And having the option, like the ability is, hey, slam Malevolence, get, like, this pasted damage amp rolling feels really, really good to play with. Now, I mean, at the same time, spawning multiple demons and all that, like Mothers of Chaos, which is spawning, I think, right about now, spawning Pit Lords, so on and so forth, getting empowered Infernal Bolts. Right there, you saw a bit of a waste of a shard. Also feels pretty good and feels very thematic. It feels Warlock. Baby Infernals right there too, basically spawn, but it feels Warlocky, right? And look at the shard gen here too. That's a dude, this guy whatever spawning, but here's the Pit Lord. Put the big meter down, and here come the imps. They're right there. Launch this thing. I should have Soulfired first, but I can Soulfire again right here. It's no big deal. Launch a Soulfire. You really don't cast Immolate ever. I really don't cast Kata ever, unless I need. I mean, I can, but I don't really ever need to. Pop my trinket again here, and like, hey, cool. Little short on shards. Actually, never mind. There's a ritual proc. Cast the bolt. Here he is. We're close to spawning another pet here as well. Cast this CDF. Hope for a Soulfire reset. We got it early on. Launch a Soulfire. There's an Immolate reset for half a minute. You're capped on shards again, right? Like, obviously capping on shards is not optimal. There's an Infernal Bolt proc. Back to 3 shards right there. They might tweak and tune the shard gen a bit as well. And overall, I think thematically, Diabolist is cooler. But I think gameplay-wise, hitting buttons-wise, Hellcaller is probably the winner for me. Because of that 1 minute Malevolence, when you hit Malevolence, you can't do this. When you hit Malevolence, you can feel like, all right, I have more haste. I know that I'm doing more damage. I'm flaring up my withers, right? But at the same time, I'm not summoning Pit Lords. I'm not summoning, you know, Overlords. I'm not summoning Mothers of Chaos. So, like, visually, Diabolist, whatever you want to call it, like, looks very, very Warlock. They're both really fun, and in essence, at their core, you've still got Destro with Soulfire launching so often. 2 minute Infernal. You've got Kata if you ever want it. If it's a fight like Anduin or some fight where ads spawn every so often, like Gnawroot, you can play your single target stuff. The ad spawn, bam, throw a Kata down, hit a CDF, cool. All those withers or immolates, they're lasting even longer. At the same time, they gave me a Soulfire reset. They've done a good job at cultivating a version of destruction that feels new, but also feels how it's felt for a long time. A couple little points. I would like to see Flashpoint having its rank 2 value that it has on retail at rank 1, like 4, 8, 12%. Because I will say, like when you're playing Hellcaller, getting this proc, like, you can sort of feel it, but I mean, it's a little underwhelming. Maybe give 3 stacks of Flashpoint. It does stack, it does refresh, but like maybe give full 3 stacks, or make it like its baseline 4%, how it is at rank 2 on retail. Because even playing the talent, just through pathing just feels really gross. Like, I mean, it's 6% at 3 stacks. Like, you know. Also, please add connections to Infernal through. Make Infernal connect to this node and this node. Having the path through here feels terrible. You get this node. And likely, IC is better for both these builds, but it changes the rotation a lot. Until things get more tuned and all that, I'm not going to play that. But yeah, that's that. Let's look at it briefly in AoE. Alright, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to show you guys Hellcaller in AoE with Cataclysm, and then we'll swap to Diabolist with Inferno, so you can see how both play. I think if you're going to play a Cataclysm-based build, Hellcaller is probably the spec you want to play, because being able to apply 7 or 8 Withers like that quickly with Cataclysm is strong. They do a lot of damage really fast. Getting them out, getting them, you know, flared up Malevolence feels really good. All of that. Now, this is only 4 targets, but factor in 6, 7, 8 or more, and you know, AoE and M+ and all that, and it's very, very strong. You can put this point wherever you want. Not a big deal. I mean, the build might change, honestly, but like, the gist of it is getting most of this stuff here. Burn will indeed buff Fire and Brimstone. I'm not even playing Flashpoint because I'm playing this. Maybe you could play Flashpoint, but I mean, honestly, it's sort of whatever. I think in the end, they're going to tune Rifts to a point you probably want to play them in AoE. Probably do. Maybe it would be something like this, possibly. Not sure, but at this point they're pretty bad, so I'm not like playing them. But we're going to give this build a shot, and I can show you how it looks. Now, the big thing here, they buffed CDF with RDF. They basically buffed this to be 0.5 seconds per bolt that hits up from 0.2. So this extends Wither a crazy amount. It really never falls. You can have Wither up permanently until you Kata again. It's what you want for Affliction. It's never going to happen. You can do it as Destro. It's so strong, you can almost play it with Hate Brew Rituals, but this makes the timing of your Cataclysm in RDF or CDF very tight. So I'm playing it with this for more procs of this also. We'll see where it goes long term, but honestly, I enjoy it a lot. It's been a lot of fun. So say we're heading into a pack at M+, the tank's rounding it up, doing whatever. I'm going to run in, put a Kata down, drop my Infernal, Trinket, Malevolence, already rolling. CDF, look at the duration extension, it's massive. Rain of Fire, put up a Havoc, cast some Conflict Rates, Rain of Fire, throw an Incinerate here, it's cleaving with Fire and Brimstone with those Burned Ashes stacks here. Rain of Fire, Series talking to me, I don't need that right now. Rain of Fire, cast your CDF again, look at the duration extension here. From 9 to 16, look at my Cataclysm, it's coming off cooldown again now, right? Rain of Fire, Rain of Fire. I never end up having to recast Withers, right? Rain of Fire, cast my Kata again. Rain of Fire. Cast an Incinerate. That's cleaved with Fire and Brimstone. Or I guess, you know, it cleaves essentially, right? Cast CDF. Look at that. The fast channel, the huge extensions here. Cast an Incinerate. Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire. Cast a Conflict Rate. Throw an Incinerate. Rain of Fire. Incinerate. Rain of Fire, right? Now, these Incinerates do indeed cost 3 shards, or these Rain of Fires do, compared to like what we're going to look at in a minute here, with Diabolist costing 2. But you can see how strong just going into a pack, throwing out 7 or 8 Withers are with your Cataclysm. Popping your Trinket, popping Malevolence, getting that haste amp feels. The haste amp affects everything, right? Look at the breakdown here. You might think it's Rain of Fire, and it is, but it's also Wither at 18.2%. And look at it rising out of combat here quickly, right? 18.2, 18.6. Incinerate, also really high here. Look at the crit chance on Incinerate. 78.6%, which is pretty high. But look at our tier bonus. Incinerate crit strike chance increased by 20% on top of other modifiers in the trees here, so on and so forth. Incinerate's crit chance is very high at 78%. So Incinerate is a large portion of our damage. If I can find it here, that's the other test from single target. Details, man, you're killing me here. It's a large portion of our damage wherever it went here somewhere. Maybe it's this one. Maybe it's this one. There we go, we're back. And then Black and Souls right here, Infernal. Even look at CDF, 7.5%, right? You got your Overfiends, your funnel damage, so on and so forth. It's fun, and once again, hitting that Malevolence button feels really good. You're just cranking, right? That haste amp comes in, you cast your Kata right into your Trinket Malevolence. You subliminally know, cool, I just applied 6, 7, 8 dots at once, and I'm flaring them all up with Malevolence. They're all just getting more stacks, they're doing damage when I pop Malevolence, I'm getting my haste amp. It feels really good. But at the same time, let's look at Diabolist here, and we'll change over to Inferno. Now, with Inferno, you have to apply your Withers, or for Diabolist, your Immolates manually, right? So not only are you playing Inferno here, you're having to manually cast your Immolates. They have a duration, a cast time on them, right? Now, you're playing CDF and things here, so I mean, realistically, they're going to be pushed for a pretty long duration. But the difference here, our Rain of Fires cost 2 shards, which essentially means, you know, depending on target number or targets and all that, it might be maybe more shards saved, which means more shards spent compared to the Cataclysm as Hellcaller, depending on how many targets you have, so on and so forth. So let's say we're heading into the pack here. Let's do this, reset this. We're heading into a pack. The tank's rounding it up. I'm going to put up a few Immolates here because we're rounding the old pack up here. There's 3, there's 4. Cool, they're all stacked. I'm going to Infernal. Pop my Trinket, throw a Rain of Fire in, hit a CDF. I have no Malevolence to pop here, but I got a few Rain of Fires to throw. Rain of Fire, Rain of Fire. I'm going to Conflict Rate, Rain of Fire. I'm going to cast an Incinerate, which is buffed. Rain of Fire. There's the Pit Lord, Rain of Fire. Now, Rain of Fire. Once again, Rain of Fire. Right now, there you go. There's Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire. Cast my CDF. Look at my Immolates. Extended. Once again, they're going to fall before my next CDF comes in, but still, they last a good while. I'm going to refresh them here. Refresh this. Refresh this. Refresh this. Refresh this. You know, sort of slow here without any flashpoint stacks and all that, but hey, you win some, you lose some. Go into our Havoc here. Already got a handful of shards here. Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire. Conflict Rate. Rain of Fire. Cast my CDF. There's the Mother of Chaos, I think, right? Infernal Bolt. Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire. There's an Overfiend again. Rain of Fires. You can feel the difference here. I'm casting a lot more Rain of Fires than I am playing other builds, right? Like, for sure. Cast Ruination. There you go. Big meteor comes down. Bam. The imps are right next to me. There you go. And Ruination does a lot of damage for one hit. I think it bugged out, actually, a minute ago. I need to go back and look at the video and watch that. I think it bugged out because I had two. Only one landed. But the difference here, Rain of Fire, 40% down, or I guess up from 20%. But in certain settings, you might want that damage profile, or just Rain of Fire spam is, you know, crazy and insane. But when it comes to, like, having a more rounded profile, I feel you can't go wrong with Hellcaller. Playing with her, it's good in single target, it's good in AOE, it brings you malevolence. I can apply it with Cataclysm. And I even played Inferno a bit playing Hellcaller, and it also feels good. Because, hey, when you're playing Hellcaller, the big difference, like, Destro's been pretty immobile for the majority of its history, within reason, right? Wither, unlike Immolate, is an instant cast spell. I'm running in here. I gotta move, right? Got no conflict rate charges. Hit him with a Wither, 30k. Conflict rate hits for a little more, you know, 180k. Wither, 38k, 40k. It's almost like a mini Fell Flame in a sense. You can cast it while you're moving if you want. Just in general, going into a pack too, in, you know, M+ or whatever. Even if you're not playing Kata, you can just put up a handful of Withers when they're pulling the pack together. So you got all 4 up. Throw your Infernal down, throw a Rain of Fire, Trinket Malevolence, cast your CDF, put another Rain down, put a Rain down, hit your Havoc, Conflict Rate, and you're already capped. I'm capped on shards. Like, and this is playing the 3-shard version, right? Like, my Rain of Fire cost 3 shards, right? At least they should. Oh no, I'm wrong. I'm playing Inferno. I'm dumb. Yeah, you can even see, like, even with Inferno, this build cranks. It's late at night, guys. Give me a break. But regardless, both feel good, but I really just can't get past how good playstyle-wise, gameplay-wise, playing Hellcaller is. Hitting your Malevolence, getting your haste amps, knowing you're doing damage, and just cranking. But at the same time, you know, Diabolist summoning Pit Lords, Mothers of Chaos, and Overfiends, or Overlords, whatever they're called, is also really sick. Warlock and Destro in general is just in a really good spot. It's a lot of fun to play, and it feels like a new version of Destro, while still having old elements that most everybody wants. So that wraps it up. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it gave you a better insight on how just Destro looks currently heading into Warwithin. I guess later stages of beta, raid testing, and later stages of M+ testing. I gotta admit, like, I've enjoyed Destro a lot playing it on beta. It still feels like Destro, but it's gotten a lot of changes with Soulfire actually being a fun spell to cast. The Inferno changes are solid with 2-shard Rain of Fires. Honestly, Kata feels good to play as Hellcaller. Wither has changed the way Af and Destro play a tremendous amount. For the better. So we'll see if it lasts and where it stands in a few weeks. But either way, I've enjoyed it a lot. If you guys have any Week Wars or add-ons, links to Twitch and Discord down below. You can go for free, including the beta Week Wars and all the stuff I'm using. At the same time, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons, like always, right in the video. Thank you for all supporting on Patreon, guys, a million times, like always. I really appreciate it. If you look at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the video description. Now, the last video in this series is going to be Demonology, which I was planning on putting out today, but I want to wait till this week's build, hopefully, I guess in a day or so, and see if they fix the bugs with Howlmaster's Gambit. The capstone's at the bottom of the tree. Doom is bugged, Talents are bugged, the dog increase one is bugged, and I think that will likely change the way Demo functions a lot in single target and certainly AoE. So if that's fixed this week, then if it gets fixed this week's build, great. I'll make a video. If it doesn't, well, I'll make a video regardless. I like to show you a more fixed version, fluent version of Demonology, but, you know, we'll see what happens. So, all that being said, thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.